We are live now.
Okay, Chair, you're good to go.
First of all, I'd like to say good morning, everyone. I would like to begin by welcoming those members of the public and press who are watching the live stream of this meeting via the Council's website. Members, you are now aware of the need to keep your video cameras switched on for the duration of the meeting and to keep your microphone muted except when I invite you to speak. Please click the raised hand function if you wish to ask a question or even make a comment. There is also a risk that we may run into technical problems, and I ask for your patience if we do so. Should this occur, I will declare an adjournment while the fault is addressed and the public broadcast will be paused. If it is not possible to address the fault, the meeting may be abandoned until such time it can be reconvened. Can I remind members and officers and the public speakers, I don't think we've got any today, that all virtual meetings will be recorded and that these recordings will be published on the Council's website. And please turn off all your mobile phones or even place them to silent during the duration of the meeting. So thank you for that. So members, I will begin calling names of all members of the committee to establish your attendance. Please confirm your presence. Councillor Ashwood.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Gardner.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Hartford.
Present.
Councillor Hunt.
Sorry, Chair, present.
Yes, I can see you, Councillor Hunt. Councillor Kindersley.
Good morning, Chairman.
Councillor Scott.
Present, Chair.
Councillor Smith.
Present, Chairman.
And obviously I'm here myself, aren't I? So agenda item number 1, apologies for absence. Would member services like to report any members, report any apologies for absence?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. Does any members wish to declare a disclosable pecuniary interest or non-statutory disclosable interest? Any members want to do that before we start? No.
Councillor Kindersley, Chair.
Councillor Kindersley, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to remind the committee that there are a number of delegated decisions at the end of our agenda, I think 3 of which I have an interest, 2 of which are in parishes I represent, and 1 is Compton Village College, for which I am a member of the Cam Academy Trust.
Thank you, Councillor Kindersley. Anybody else? No, thank you very much. Now, we've been asked to approve the minutes of the meeting of the 28th of January 2021 as a correct record. Can I ask any member who does not agree with this proposal to click their raised hand function to the right of the screen? Can't see anything, Dan.
No, Chair.
Right, on that basis, the committee members are happy to approve the minutes as written, subject to that change. So those minutes are carried. I will sign a hard copy when we return to the office. So thank you for that for members. So now we move to agenda number 4, review of the local information requirements for the validation of the planning applications. I think it's a dual thing between Kate Brannigan and Jane Stanley, but now I'm going to invite Kate to introduce the report. So over to you when you're ready, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. So the item I'm going to introduce today is the review of the local information requirements for the validation of planning applications. So the Council has published local validation requirements since December 2010, with the latest local validation list and guidance notes being approved by the Planning Committee in May 2019. It is necessary for us to review our requirements at least every 2 years, meaning the 2019 documents are due to expire this June. The local validation requirements apply to planning applications for Cambridgeshire County Council's own developments and for waste developments. The local validation list sets out what information is required to accompany the submission of these applications in addition to the national requirements. The requested information includes plans, drawings, technical reports, and other specific information, and is the minimum necessary to be submitted prior to processing and consultation on these applications. This is supported by paragraph 44 of the National Planning Policy Framework. Relevant application would be valid with very minimal information if up-to-date requirements are not put in place when the current documents expire. The Council has produced revised consultation drafts. These revisions made in these drafts include kind of the following key points. So firstly, ensuring we meet the requirements of the public sector bodies' websites and mobile applications accessibility regulations 2018. So consequently, we have proposed amendments to the format and wording of the documents, which we hope will assist us in making our public documents and correspondence easier to understand and be accessed by all. Furthermore, we have proposed to include additional requirements in line with existing development plan policies and the increase in electronic working. We have also added some new requirements which are set out in paragraph 2.2 of the officer report. And lastly, in paragraph 2.3 of the officer report, we have drawn attention to references for updated guidance that have been added. And just to make a note on paragraph 2.3 of that report, there's been a slight error in the second section. The sentence refers to consultation links to 2 more recent documents. However, it should read only consultation links to more recent documents, removing the word to. So they were the kind of main revisions made in the drafts. So we then went on to the consultation period. So the consultation period lasted 6 weeks between the 25th of January and the 8th of March 2021. The consultation was displayed on the Council's website, and we also directly consulted applicants and agents who have submitted during the last 2 years, parish and town councils, Cambridgeshire County Council colleagues and councillors, and statutory and non-statutory consultees. So from this consultation period, we received 13 responses which commented on our proposals. All are summarised in paragraphs 3.3 to 3.15 of the officer report and Appendix 1 summary of consultation responses. Officers have given careful consideration to the consultation responses that have been received and have recommended amendments in response to 5 of these respondents. These amendments are explained and tabled in Appendix 1 and are included in the revised validation guidance notes and checklist contained in Appendices 2 and 3. So to conclude, we recommend that the County Council's local validation list and guidance notes, June 2021, attached as Appendices 2 and 3 respectively, be approved for use. This would enable publication of the Council's website before the expiry of the existing documents in June 2021. And further, that the Joint Interim Assistant Director of Environment and Commercial be authorised to enable officers to update links and references to documents within the local validation list guidance notes, which have become outdated and or are superseded during the period that the 2021 list is in use. So thank you. And are there any questions?
Yeah, thank you for that. So thank you, Kate, for that. So any questions, clarifications to Kate, Jane or Emma before we move to the debate? Yeah, Linda, thank you.
Yeah, just one question. Obviously, there are some requirements that apply to some district councils and not to applications in some district council areas and not to others. How does this sit with the joint local plan that's currently being prepared by Greater Cambridge? And is there going to be any conflict with timescales for the relevance of this compared with the time when hopefully the plan will, their local plan will be adopted?
Anyone like to answer that? Probably
So,
you, Emma, probably.
Yeah, if I can come in on that. No, it's a really valid point. This list is going to be in operation for probably just under 2 years once it's published. And one of the things that we're asking for is the ability to be able to update while we're using that. So, for example, if the districts update their local plans or the MPPF with the white paper make those changes, we can make the subsequent policy references. In the main, talking about Greater Cambridge, the policies already align in most places. There are a couple of instances, for example, where South Cams request differences to City, but they'll be updated in the same way as at the moment. It will refer to the existing minerals and waste plan. But if everything goes according to plan, when we go to full council in July, if we get that adopted, all of those references would need to be updated as well. So rather than bring it back to committee, what we're asking for is the principles to be agreed. And then if there's anything that comes out, then we'll update accordingly.
Yeah, really good answer, that one. Thank you. You're happy, Councillor Hartford? So I see no more hands raised for questions, clarifications after. So we'll move into debate, members. So who'd like to kick the debate off? Councillor Kindersley.
Thank you, Chairman. You'll note from the report that Gamlingay Parish Council made a couple of comments which making suggestions which the County Council has not accepted. I have been in touch with the Parish Council and asked them what their view is now, or rather whether they were content with the response from the County Council. The answer was, well, we suppose so, but it does seem odd to call it a local validation list when we're suggesting local variations and they're not being accepted. I think probably it comes down to the fact that we have different definitions of the word local. So, you know, they understand the response from the County Council. So and on that basis, I'm happy as well. And if nobody else has got anything to say, I shall propose that we accept the recommendation, Chairman.
I second that.
Right. That was you, Linda, wasn't it? Second it. So, right. So it doesn't look to me as though we've got any more questions or in debate. So, right. So we've got was proposed by Councillor Kindersley, second by Councillor Hartford. So now I'll go to each member in turn. If they agree with the recommendations set out in the report, please unmute your microphone to respond before we do, but I'll go to Councillor Ashford first.
Agree, Chairman.
Councillor Gardner.
Agree, Chairman.
Councillor Gowing. Oh, he's not here. Councillor Hartford.
Agreed.
Councillor Hunt.
Agreed.
Councillor Kindersley.
Agreed, Chairman.
Councillor Scott.
Yes, agreed. Thank you.
And of course myself, that I absolutely do agree. So now would member services report the outcome of the vote, please?
I also agree, Chairman.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Smith.
Okay.
I do
With Councillor
apologise.
Smith, that's unanimous, Chair.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss you out for the world, Councillor
No
Smith.
problem.
So that's unanimous. That report has been approved. So thank you for that. So we'll go on quickly to the enforcement update, and I'll invite Deborah Jenkins to introduce the report. So over to you when you're ready, Deborah.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. The report before members today provides an overview of the work of the enforcement and monitoring team within county planning in the period running between the 1st of October 2020, which is when the last report ran to, and the 28th of February 2021. The report details the number of site visits conducted by officers within the period, noting that on the 4th of January 2021, which was the first working day of the new year, all but essential enforcement visits were suspended in response to the new national lockdown that was imposed in January to help the spread of COVID-19. Therefore, there have been no recent monitoring visits. However, I'm pleased to confirm that the operators of mineral and waste sites in the county where officers undertake chargeable visits have recently been notified of the number of monitoring visits planned for this financial year, and site monitoring will resume in the near future. I'm also pleased to say that since the publication of the report, Alex Rankin has joined the team as the new Planning and Compliance Officer, and once trained, Alex will join Stanley Gono, the Monitoring and Control Officer, and myself in conducting monitoring visits and undertaking investigations. I'll ask Alex to attend the next meeting where I present an update report so that he can introduce himself. Paragraph 2 of the report details the number of complaints received in the period, the status of those complaints at the time of writing of the report, the number of open complaints that are being investigated, and how many complaints have been investigated and resolved in that period. And then paragraphs 8 to 12 of the report provide a brief update on some of the key enforcement cases currently under investigation. Again, since the publication of the report, there have been a couple of updates on some sites that are referred to in the report, and so members are asked to note the following. In relation to paragraph 10 of the report, the road improvements at Block Ven Drove, which have been an ongoing issue for many years, are now well underway. The Drove serves a number of county mineral and waste sites and other businesses, and it's my understanding that works to improve the Drove are nearly complete. Officers will check progress as part of their monitoring visits to sites in the area. In relation to the Saxon Pit Brickworks at Whittlesea, a new planning application has been submitted seeking permission to import, store, process and recycle incinerator bottom ash and construction and demolition waste at the site. And although this development is unrelated to the existing Enforcement Environment Agency investigations, it is receiving a significant amount of public attention. The application is still being determined and the case officer is Rachel Jones should members need any more information on this. And in relation to the investigation into the non-compliances at Weston's Yard in Ponders Bridge, which is outlined in paragraph 12, again, following the publication of the report, a planning application has been submitted seeking permission to vary the conditions to reflect a smaller site area and reduced acoustic fence. The application is not yet valid and was not requested by officers. No pre-application advice was sought. And so the agent, owner and tenant have been advised that as the acoustic fence was requested by Fenland District Council Environmental Health, and they are a statutory consultee, then we are likely to still serve the planning contravention notice as the first step towards gathering more information to decide whether or not formal action is needed to regularise the breaches. There's no recommendation in the report, and I don't have any further updates for members at this time, but I'm happy to try and answer any questions that they may have.
Thank you very much for that, Deborah. Members, any questions, clarifications to Deborah? No, can't see any, Dan. So thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to receive your reports, Deborah, and they're always spot on. Thank you very much for that. So members, we are now asked to note the content of the report, which I think we've adequately done. So moving on to agenda 6 is summary of decisions taken under delegated powers. So any questions for officers or myself on that? No. So thank you, members. We've been asked to note that report, which we've duly done. That concludes the meeting. But before you go, I would just like to say a few little words. It won't take a couple of minutes anyway. I'd just like to say it's been an absolute pleasure in chairing Cambs County Council Planning Committee in the last 4 years. Members of the Planning Committee have been, in my view, excellent in their decision making. But before we leave, I feel it is to say a great thanks to the planning and enforcement teams. The reports have always been to the highest quality and absolutely spot on, as I think most of us will agree, or everybody will agree here. So, members, thank you for being a part of the CCC
Chairman,
Planning Committee.
Chairman, before you finish, if I may have a word as well, I'd be grateful.
Oh, you can, Councillor Kindersley. We're very happy to do so. So I thank members for being part of the CCC Planning Committee, and for those who are not standing for re-election again, I hope you have a very happy, fulfilling life going forward. And those standing again, I hope to see you all in the very near future. So thank you for that. And I'd just like to hand over to Councillor Kindersley, and then Councillor Scott has indicated that she'd like to say something. So Councillor Kindersley, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I was pleased that Councillor Harford and I were able to perform our duet, so familiar to members of the Planning Committee, one last time. As you mentioned, many of us, and some of us may not be back in the next municipal cycle, and so it does very much, I think, fall to say an enormous thank you to Emma and all of her team.
Absolutely.
So I've always had the most fantastic response from the planning department at the County Council, no matter what the problems were, and some of them were quite complex. I have just unbounded admiration for the work that everyone does, from enforcement right up to leading the department. So I would like to say an enormous thank you for all of their efforts on behalf of certainly my residents over the past 16 years, I think. So thank you very much. And obviously, thank you to Councillor Hunt and I think Councillor Ashwood, who will not be returning regardless. And Chairman, thank you for your wise and sustained leadership for the past, I think, 8 years now, isn't it, that you've been chairman of the committee? To wish those who are standing again to best of luck. And I hope to be back, but I shall be resigned to the fact if I am not. But thank you, particularly officers. I'm really profoundly grateful. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Kinders. Councillor Scott, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd simply like to say that I've enjoyed very much being a member of the Planning Committee from 2013, May 2013, with a short hiatus up until this time. I also wanted to say thank you to the Planning Committee officers for all the work, or the Planning Division for all the work that they do. And I did want to make a comment in that regard. Often it's considered that regulation is a bad thing. And when we were listening to the monitoring report, I was reflecting on the fact that it's really vital to have sufficient staff to do monitoring and to carry out regulation, because in the end, regulation actually is beneficial to the economy and to the environment. And it's absolutely crucial that the county has sufficient officers to carry out that work. So thank you to the officers. Thank you. I've appreciated, I was going to say performing. I really meant participating together with other members of the committee. And I thank you for your chairing, Councillor Connor. You've always acted in an extremely polite manner and an even-handed manner, seeing each member of the committee as having an equal right to speak and as being treated in an equal and unbiased manner. So thank you so much, Councillor Connor. And I regret in some ways leaving the county. I've enjoyed being a member of the County Council, but I'm hoping to go forward to the city as an alternative, but a very strongly important alternative. Thanks, Councillor Connor, and thank you, members of the committee, and thank you, planning staff, from me and from my group, the Labour group.
Thank you very much, Councillor Scott. So, Councillor Hunt. You're on mute, Councillor Hunt.
That's rather typical, Chair, isn't it? Anyway, the other two have done their job very professionally, very well, and very kind. And I think Councillors Scott and Kindersley have been a great asset to the committee. Clearly, their comments about the officers are absolutely true, and the officers have behaved first class. Everybody has complimented you, but I haven't had a compliment yet to your vice chair. So I think it's certainly correct that he's been a shadow to you very efficiently. So I'd like to say cheerio. I think I've been a member maybe as long as Councillor Kinsley, I don't know, but it's been 16 years. A lot of that time I've been on the planning committee. And I do have the fortune of chairing the East Cambs one. I think the County Council is probably a swifter and easier job, but I wish you success in the future, and everybody cheerio, and it's been a real pleasure to know you all. Cheers.
Thank you, Councillor Hunt, and I should also like to pay my respects to Councillor Garden. He's always been there. He's joined the pre-briefs. He's had. And he's done so well for me, and I just hope that in May I'll become chair of the planning again at CCC, and if I'm lucky enough to do so, I'd like Councillor Gardner as my vice chair, and I'd be very proud to have him again. So thank you once again, Councillor Gardner. You've been an absolute star. So with that, I can't, Councillor Gardner, I see you'd like to reply to that, or reply to something anyway.
Thank you very much for those comments from everybody. And I would just like to thank you as the chairman for being an excellent chairman of the planning committee. And I would certainly like to see you back as chairman of the planning committee going forward, and to thank all the officers for all their hard work over the last 4 years. They have been absolutely tremendous, and without them, we wouldn't be anywhere. But thank you all very much. And I look forward to seeing all those of you standing again back on the planning committee, and hopefully myself if I am returned. Thank you very much.
Yeah, here. So thank you once again. I've got to add the last say, I usually do. Thank you very much for all your participation in the last 4 years. And I'd like to see you all again. And please keep safe. So the meeting is now closed at 10:26. And thank you very much and keep safe. Goodbye, everybody.